He had some serious doubts about the Vipya when he was taken on as the ship's steward. People were very happy about the new steamer here in Mangochi. It brought work. But when I went for a walk and watched it in the water, I could see it took 1 hour to roll from one side to the other. People laughed and said it was built like a castle. I'd been serving under a white man, Captain Hughes. When he heard I was joining the Vipya, he said, "Bemba, I don't like the construction of that ship. I'm sure it won't last long." The decks were built in a local wood, slightly heavier than that envisaged by the designers in Scotland. But whether or not the ship was suitable for the lake, everyone agrees that on its fourth and fateful journey, the weather was extremely bad. The wind started to blow up the day before it sunk. Captain Kingsley Likakuta is the shipping services manager for the Malawi Lake Services, and he knows from long experience what problems these winds can pose. The Mwera is the southeasterly winds, and because they come from the south, then in our language that's the Mwera. You can see this Mwera is sort of, the wind is gusting. That's a bad wind when it's gusting. Is it a difficult lake to sail? It is a difficult lake to sail when you have bad weather. You see, we can have a good spell of good weather on lake, and when you sail at that time, you have a false feeling that because the lake is enclosed, it's okay. But believe you me, this lake should be treated like a sea. We sailors, we know that, and that's how we know it. It's moderate sea, moderate lake. What can we work? A strong Mwera was starting to blow up as the Vipya headed for Mbamba Bay on the east side of the lake, and the crew knew the thing.
Okay, so that is your assignment. You listen to it carefully. It's about 28 minutes of listening, and then tell us what it is all about. You remember when we started this course, we started talking about listening. That listening is very, very important. When you listen, you take notes, and then when you take notes, you are able to remember or to recall what happened. So in this instance, we want you to listen to that excerpt on the sinking of MV Ilala 1 or Vipya, which sank sometime in 1946. Where were you in 1946? Yeah, so it sank, and a lot of people perished. Only very few survived. So it's a story talked by some of those people who survived, and one child who traveled on the voyage just before that one. And he was 10 months old at that time. And later on, he became one of Malawi's prolific writers. A guy called Steve Chimombo. I don't know whether you have read any book by Steve Chimombo or any poems. Have you read or heard or listened to any of Steve Chimombo's poems or plays? Try to take some interest in Malawian literature. Definitely, if you do, you will agree with me that Steve Chimombo is one of those very prolific Malawian writers. One of the plays that he wrote was The Rainmaker. The Rainmaker is about who comes from Sanje here, or who has heard about Kuruvi Forest. Or Mbona. Have you heard of Mbona? Yes. Who is Mbona, or who was Mbona? Sorry? People by using this kind of question. I don't know why he was using, but people couldn't kill him by using the next stuff. So he was keep the blood that was living down into so you people, you don't even follow stories on local radios, because the story of Mbona is being talked about quite a lot. About 2 weeks ago, I think people of the Lower Shire, they were organizing a festival. And one of the centerpieces of that festival was paying homage at the shrine of Mbona. Or have you ever heard of the Malawi Kingdom? Who were the rulers of the Malawi Kingdom? Karonga. The Karonga, who are the Piris. And Mbona was a nephew to the Karonga. So they quarreled, and Mbona fled from Msinja here to the Lower Shire, right? They quarreled over some powers. Mbona was able to bring rain, and the uncle was a bit jealous of that. So he sent a few people after him. So Mbona fled to the Lower Shire, where he established himself. But he was pursued by his uncle, but then they couldn't find him, they couldn't kill him until someone betrayed them or betrayed him. That, well, look here, you can't kill this guy using ordinary weapons, you know. If you want to kill him, use a reed and so on. So the rest of the story is when Mbona was killed and so on and so forth. People still feel that he has powers to bring rain and so on. and therefore they go there to worship him, right? And then they also bring, they have to make sure that he's taken care of, right? So they have to supply him with a wife all the time. So he has his shrine there, and you have someone looking after that shrine, right? A lady called Makewana, right? And so on. So you should read about that. It's interesting. All right. Today we want to look at plagiarism. In the notes that we looked at some point, we looked at plagiarism, and we said that plagiarism is a crime, an academic crime. In order to avoid plagiarism, you have to cite your sources. So whenever you are writing either an assignment in educational psychology, an assignment in business management, you are required to read before you write your assignment. And what you read, you take notes. And then when you are writing your essay, you use those notes to write your essay. Now, since what you are writing is other people's works, you have to cite those other people. And there are very many styles that you can use. But the style that we're going to be talking about today is the American Psychological Association, or APA, style of citations. Now, there are two types of citations: in-text citation, citing inside the text, and then references at the end. So we will start with in-text citation. First of all, let us ask ourselves, what is this animal called the American Psychological Association, or APA style? Well, it is a standard system for, one, giving credit to others for their contribution to your work. When you are writing about education, and then you say, education is the greatest treasure that a parent can give to his children, that is not something that I have invented. Someone else said that. Who said that education is the greatest gift that a parent can give to his or her children? Who said that? Because that is the most common thing I could have. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela said that education is the greatest gift that a parent can give to his or her child. Giving that child a car, they will end up bashing it after drinking. What do you drink these days? Ambuye mtenge. Right? You bash the car, it ends there. Right? You are given money, you squander it. But if you are given education, you can do a lot with that. Secondly, the style helps you in formatting your paper for greater consistency. In other words, when you are citing using one style, then you are consistent in the way you are uh, formatting your paper. Just imagine if in one paragraph you are citing and then you are using the APA style. In the next paragraph, you are citing somebody and you are using the modern language association style, which is totally different from the APA style. In another paragraph, you are citing and then you are using the Chicago Turban style, which is also totally different. And in another one, you are using the Harvard or any other style that you can come across. Then it can be a bit confusing. So, if you use one style, then people will not be confused. Okay, why should you use this style? The APA style is primarily used in social sciences. So, this style is very, very common in the social sciences. Or almost all the subjects that we are doing here are social sciences. So, where you write essays. In the sciences, sometimes you don't write essays because you are doing experiments. And the experiments do not require people to be writing a lot. But in the social sciences, you are required to express yourselves in writing. So, this style comes in handy. What do I really need to know? Or do I need to know about this style? The APA style? In any paper that refers to other sources, you must cite these sources properly and give credit where it belongs. It is a crime to just lift a piece of writing from some paper and then paste it on your assignment and then claim that that is your own. The least you can do is to paraphrase or to summarize what someone has said and then acknowledge, cite that someone. That way, in academics, you are respected. I think it was here where I said and gave an example of Jesus Christ. Was it here?
Yes.
What did I say?
When Jesus was asking for all the things,
Hmm.
the devil came to him and told him that if he was indeed the Son of God, he should turn and stone into bread. And then he said, it is written in the Bible that one should not please Lord God to please.
Exactly. In other words, even Jesus was citing in authority. And then the devil said, no, but look here, it is also written in the same books, right? That the Son of Man can jump from some height and then the angels will come and grab the Son of Man because the Son of Man cannot be injured. God cannot allow. What did Jesus say? It is written, you shall not tempt your God. Right? So, citing is very, very important. If you cite some source, if Jesus had just said, well, look here, you see, I cannot do that, right? I'm sure Satan would not have been impressed, right? Because Satan was quoting some source. So it is important that we cite. We are saying that we will be charged with plagiarism. So what is plagiarism? Plagiarism is taking somebody's words or ideas and presenting them as your own, or presenting another person's work, published or even unpublished work, without proper acknowledgement. In other words, plagiarism is a serious writing infraction and could be ground for refusal to accept your work. If you, for example, you write for competition, or you write and then you are asking some publisher to publish your work, they can refuse to publish your work if you don't acknowledge the sources where you have gotten your work, because they will be accused of stealing. So, for most sources that you use, there are two steps that you should take in citing them properly. The first step, as I said, is in-text citation. In the body of your paper, as you are writing, and as you are citing examples from various people, you cite them. And then step number 2, at the end, you write references. And then there, you list all people who you have cited inside your text alphabetically. Now, what is the difference between in-text citation and references? The difference is this. In-text citations, you just cite the author's surnames or last name and the date of publication and or the page number. I'm saying and or because sometimes you can cite or you can summarize a whole paragraph or a whole book. That is allowed. If you are just referring to a book, right? You don't have to specify a page. But then, if you are citing a page in a book, then you have to be specific. Usually, when you are citing a source where perhaps you want to quote directly, then you have to cite the page on which you will find that source. Okay. Let us start with the in-text citation. When you are citing inside the text, you can use a variety of styles. Where perhaps you have summarized. For example, APA style is a difficult citation format for first-time learners. Who is saying this? Walker, 207. Walker 207 is going to be in brackets. It means that we are citing from what Walker wrote in 207. Another style will be if you are using the author as a signal phrase. A signal phrase is the first phrase, right? According to Walker, now if you are using a signal phrase, then it will be according to Walker in brackets 207. What is that thing doing? Is it tired? Maybe it has started in the morning and it wants to have some. So, either, okay. Yeah, so this is a signal phrase, Walker, according to Walker 207, or you could say Walker 207 said that, or in 207, Walker argued that. In other words, these are just varieties. Because if you just use one variety, it's a bit monotonous, right? So you can be using varieties. Now, in those styles, you have paraphrased, but then you can be exact by quoting exactly what Walker said. She said, in inverted commas, students often have difficulties using APA style, especially when it is in their first time citing sources. Close brackets. Who said this? Walker, 207, page 276. Walker's 207 study found the following. And then this is what Walker has said. Now, this quotation here, it is less than 40 words. That's why you have put it in inverted commas. But if it is more than 40 words like this, what you do is you indent, you just push it inside. You don't put it in inverted commas. But at the end, you have to put the page where you are quoting this source. Now, there are several in-text citation styles where you are citing one person, where you are citing two people, where you are citing three people, where you are citing more than three people. So, where you are citing one person, one work by one author, Walker, 207. The second time that you are citing the same person, again, Walker, 207. This is when you are using them as signal phrase. But when you are using them in a sentence which you have summarized or paraphrased, it is called the parenthetical format. So the brackets include the writer and the year. So Walker 207. Again, if it is one person, Walker 207. If it is two people who you are citing, because some works are written by two people and not one person. So, Walker and Allen. If it is the first time, Walker and Allen, if it is a signal phrase. Second time, Walker and Allen. But if it is within a sentence or at the end of a sentence which you have summarized, then this and here becomes this. What do you call this one? Sorry? A what? No. An upper sand. Upper sand. An upper sand. Okay? So you use the upper sand instead of using the and. This is wrong here, right? This doesn't come there, right? So it is Walker and Allen, remove this one, okay? 204. Again, subsequent Water and Allen 204. This was a mistake, so forget it or remove it. If it is a work by 3 authors, first time you have to mention the 3 of them: Bradley, Rames, and Sue. Second time you mention them, don't bother about the others, just Bradley. These ones, the 2, right? You substitute them by et al, which is Latin for and others. So et al, you put a dot there and not there. So it's Bradley and others, 1999. If it is in parenthesis, again, Bradley, Rames, and Sue, 1999. First time. Second time, Bradley et al., 1999. If it is works by 4 authors, then first time you mentioned all of them. Second time, you just mentioned the first one. Again, if it is in parenthesis, first time you mention all of them. After that, just Bradley et al. The same will go for works by 5 authors. But if the work is by 6 authors or more, then you don't have to mention all of them. I hope we are understanding one another. If it is 6 authors or more, you don't have to mention all of them. Just mention the first one and et al. It will be understood, right? Weizmann et al. And when you are mentioning them second time, again, it doesn't change. In text parenthetical referencing, it doesn't change, whether it's first time or second time. But I will maybe caution you a bit. The caution that I will tell you is that when I'm marking, right, I'll be very strict on this, right? But sometimes other people might forgive you if for 3 authors to any, right, you say et al, right? Because the APA style is a style which changes. So this is the 6th edition which I'm telling you. When you look at the 7th edition, they have changed slightly, right? There they say that from 3 authors onwards, right, you can use et al, right? But that is not our purpose here, because our purpose is to train each other to cite properly, right? Now, why is it important that you should be mentioning all these people to start with, right? It is important because you are not writing for your own sake, you are writing for others. And those other people might want to cross-check your work. And they can only cross-check if you give them information about who you are citing. So if you, for example, most students will just cite et al., right? First, this one surname et al., right? Why do they do that? They do that because they have not read. What they have done is just taken some material from inside somebody else's writing. So if somebody is writing, we are saying that first time they mention all the people. But after that, they say et al., right? So chances are, if you are just lifting something from inside somewhere, right? Someone would just have said et al., and that's what you are extracting. So we should be cautious about that one. Now, some write-ups do not have authors' names. If, for example, the University of Lilongwe commissions me to write something and they pay me, it means that that writer belongs to University of Lilongwe. So, when you are quoting, you will not quote me. You will be quoting University of Lilongwe. So the author will be University of Lilongwe. So if University of Lilongwe wrote a report